How many times have you switched grade levels or even schools? And each time feels maybe a little bit more stressful than the last, right? With each transition, there is obviously a new curriculum to learn, new expectations for yourself as a teacher, new students. And we've learned that it doesn't matter if you're brand new to the teaching field or switching grades this year after spending several years in one classroom. It's nice to have a few things set in stone that you don't have to think about while scrambling to really get the rest of your classroom organized. So today I'm going to share 3 tips that we've learned over the years that might help make your August just a little bit less stressful. Now, before we dive in, make sure that you hit subscribe where you're watching this video for more like this one. So tip number 1 is obviously to have a concrete classroom management plan in place. You might want to ask yourself the following questions to begin getting an idea of what your classroom management plan will look like. What are your expectations for student behavior? What are the consequences when a student doesn't meet those expectations? Even thinking about things like what's your restroom policy for class? Do students just walk out? Is there a signal that they give? Whatever it might be. Are you going to have classroom jobs? And how do those play a part of your management plan? And how do students, hand in their finished work? Things along those lines. It works in 3rd grade. It's obviously going to be very different in 8th grade, especially if you're changing grade levels. So it's important to kind of write out your expectations for their behavior. What does it look like transitioning among subjects, getting water, etc., and then have them ready to communicate with your students on day 1. All right, tip number 2, be prepared for a substitute. Of course, this is important on a daily basis, but even more crucial on a day when you call in and you're actually sick. The last thing you want to do is write out detailed sub-plans for an hour before school starts. I have done that many times before and it is very stressful. And let's face it, how many times have we had a sub, not actually meet our expectations? They didn't teach what we needed them to, and then we needed to reteach it anyways. So it's really helpful to have emergency sub-plans in place that can be used at a moment's notice that are still educational, engaging for your students. And in fact, we actually suggest making copies of the activities at the start of the school year, put them in a binder, label them, put them on your shelf, and they are just ready to go, and you don't even have to think about it anymore. And then tip number 3, make all of your copies and have all of your lesson plans prepared for those first 2 weeks of school. Those first weeks back can be incredibly exciting, but also pretty darn stressful, especially if you're switching grade levels or you're brand new to teaching. And so we like to have all of our copies made. First week activities, if there's a syllabus, all lesson plan materials, all that stuff finalized. And we do that about 2 weeks before school starts. Because most of the time, the week before school, honestly, is dedicated to faculty meetings, retreats, and other various activities that you might not have time to actually do the things that you need to do to get your classroom ready. So those are 3 tips for hopefully making your back to school just a little less stressful for you.